informed me he cannot make it tonight, so I'm going to call on Willie Mena if he would do the call to order and roll call.
Certainly. Trustee Stirring.
Present.
Trustee Mena present. Trustee Teasdale is absent excused. I'm sorry, Craig, you know what? We haven't introduced our new trustee yet on the board, so could you just pronounce your last name for me?
Sure. My name's Craig Messerneck.
Messerneck. Okay, so Trustee Messerneck. And I'll have that ready for next
And I
time.
am present.
Okay, Trustee Margolis.
Here.
Trustee Verma.
Present.
Student Representative Matthew and Huang are both absent excused due to exams this week.
Should we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'd like to ask my fellow trustees to look at the agenda and entertain a motion to approve it, or if there's any comments or suggestions to it.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved. I see Julie raising her hand. Julie?
Just wanted to note that I do have a report for you on the goals. It indicates not available, but I will speak to that for you this evening.
Good, okay. We'll note that. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. No further discussion? All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? The agenda is unanimously approved. Item number 4, the consent agenda. Any comments on the consent agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Having seen none, all in favor of the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? None. The consent agenda is unanimously approved. Correspondence. Do you have any correspondence, Julie?
We do not.
Well, I have some correspondence tonight. So we will reverse this. Instead of you normally giving us correspondence, I will report on some correspondence which was just presented to me. And I think I'm going to read the whole letter because I think it's worth reading the whole letter. It comes from Kathy Russ, who's the library director at Troy. It's addressed to me and the Novi Public Library trustees. Earlier this year, a few of my staff members attended a T&L workshop on customer service presented by Julie Farkas and came back with rave reviews. Based on the many comments on the theme, you should get here to put on a workshop for us, I contacted Julie and asked her if she would consider it. As you may expect, Julie responded positively, enthusiastically, and professionally. Julie and her associate, Marilyn Shettle, presented the workshop, Customer Service Basics, to the staff of the Troy Public Library on Friday, December 6th. I am still receiving feedback from staff about how much they enjoyed the presentation and how much they learned from it. One aspect that set Julie's presentation apart is that she approaches the topic from a very relatable perspective. Julie understands public libraries, the people who use them, and the people who work in them, and she helped my staff to see how they can work better together with each other and also with the library's patrons in order to ensure even better customer service. Julie also shared with the staff some of her challenges her staff faced when the new library was opened and how she and her staff manages those challenges. It is so helpful for staff to hear from someone who understands what it's like on the front lines, and if you will pardon another cliche, someone who walks the walk as well as talking the talk. In her conversations with me about my goals for the workshop, Julie was focused, organized, and asked great questions, which helped me understand what I wanted to achieve from this process. Julie's presentation was dynamic, upbeat, engaging, and professional, just like she is. This in-service city provided the staff with exactly the motivation and information I've been hoping for, and the positive effects continue to this day. I can see the effect on the service my staff provides to our Troy community. Julie is a true professional, sharing her time and talents for the improvements of all. I appreciate her efforts on behalf of the Troy Library very much. Sincerely, Kathy Russ, Library Director. So, thank you, Julie.
Kudos to you.
Yes.
I I know that you read the letter into the public record so that it'll be permanently there, but I'd like to suggest a copy of it be made available for a personnel file so that come review time, we have some other substantiation.
Very good suggestion. We will do that. Thank you. Presentation. Any presentations this evening? We do not. Public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to make any kind of presentation they would like to make to the trustees. If so, we'd ask that you approach the podium and make that presentation now. I do not see anybody running to the podium to make that presentation, so we'll have no public comment at this time, although there will be another opportunity later on in the meeting. President's report. The library goal documents, which you indicate we do have some advancement on the goals.
We made sure you got it out. I apologize for not being part of the packet when it went out over the weekend electronically. Just a couple things that I'd like to highlight for you that have been added. On the first page, about halfway down, this is in regard to engaging local older adults. We are currently investigating an art hanging system for, it says meeting room, but it is actually for our silent study room and for our teen area for artwork to be put on display by older adults and working with different artists that are in our community and engaging that particular age group. So we are moving forward with some of that currently. If you look on the next page, second page, towards the bottom, it talks about developing a survey component for technology, and we did complete our survey. I did receive the results, and you will be receiving them during our goal-setting session on February 1st. I'll be able to provide that information to you.
Goal setting or budgets?
I apologize, budget, yes, budget setting. Next page, at the very bottom, this is in regard to establishing an international language committee. This is also in the strategic plan, one of the ideas, and we are looking to build a committee, looking for a diverse group to help us look at options for collections, programming, different services, and getting the feedback from our cultural community. And we're starting to contact volunteers now and to reach out and get some people to be involved with the library on this. I think that'll be very, very beneficial to when we look at our international language collection currently, and if there's needs or more things that can be addressed, or other types of services and collections that we could look at to be purchasing for the library based on needs. And I apologize, I don't have page numbers. I'm going to skip a few pages to the goal. The goal says balance the needs of the community with fiscal responsibility. So it'd be about 3 pages in, I believe. Towards the bottom, just wanted to point out that our teen space is definitely getting some really good use, and we just provided an Xbox Madden tournament in early December, which was actually hosted by one of our partners, which was the school district, to provide the program. So we had a very good turnout from that, along with the ping pong I think I mentioned a few months back. So we continue to do a little bit of programming in relation to the teen space, just to engage the students further. Next page, a couple items to mention under goal: ensure that the library maintains policies and planning strategies. We have just gone live in early January with offering text messages for hold pickup. So if you have a material that's on hold at the library, you can go on the catalog and register your name and your phone number so that you will get a text message letting you know that your hold is available at the library. That just came through TLN, our consortium. We're all starting with the basic hold process. I hope to see other services that we'll be able to provide based on text, but this is our first one, and we rolled it out on January 6th. It's been going smoothly so far. Slowly, people are seeing that on their account and seeing the option to register, and we'll start marketing it in our February e-newsletter to let people know about the new service and how they can get instant messaging on their holds and being available at the library. And then just below that, the Engage, we added an online patron registration. So you can now, patrons who don't have a library card can actually go online and register and go through the process of having it filled out online and going to our system in order for them to be in the system. It allows them to place 2 holds, And then you'd still have to come in and verify your identification and where you live. We still have that component that's still needed, but it does allow for the paperwork to get started and saves people some time at home to do that before they come in and get the initial card. So that just started also through TLN, and we're moving forward. These are two things that actually came up in strategic plan that we've planned out, and I don't think we had quite had them in the target dates yet, and we're already meeting those needs quite earlier than we had anticipated, so I'm pretty excited about that. And that's all I have for you this evening. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions? Willie?
Julie, last meeting, or maybe the meeting before, we had a discussion regarding a few issues that we were running into the teen space. I know we were doing little adjustments there. Have we seen improvements?
We have. One of the adjustments that we made was to require a student ID by the student when they entered teen space. It took some time, to educate the kids and let them know that we would be doing that requirement, but it's because also we wanted to make sure that we were interacting with the right kids, and if we had concerns, we could address them properly. I'm happy to say that if they don't have the card, they also have an online way to show us that they're a student. So not only is it a library card, but they can go on to their own account and show that they're a student, and it shows a picture. So we have had really good response. When we first rolled it out, we had a few numbers trickle down. Our numbers are right back up because the kids are either getting a new student ID or using the online system in order to identify them with the schools. So that's turned out very well for us. We lost our building monitor back in November, and we have a person that has been working contract for us right now so that we didn't lose momentum with keeping our building secure and having a monitor in the building during those hours when the teenagers come and use the building and when the traffic is much higher. We're currently looking to fill that position now and doing some interviews, and we should not miss a beat in order to continue to keep that position going for the library. And it's a very helpful position in terms of interacting with the students and then helping defray any situations that would occur in the building.
Thank you.
Seeing how this is the president's report, I'm just going to use this opportunity to welcome Craig to our board. He sat on the other side last month as we met him for the first time, or at least I've met him for the first time, but welcome you to our board. We look forward to, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, and I'm sure all the other trustees, we look forward to you being on this board and working with you. Thank you for being willing to donate your time and your efforts to the library, Craig.
Well, thank you. I'm pleased to join the board and look forward to lots of fun things.
Good. Treasurer's report. I got an email just a few minutes before the meeting that Treasurer Checkeye could not make the meeting because of a health issue in the family. So he is not here. I'm going to impose on Trustee Margolis, if I can, who always has some comments or thoughts in regard to the Treasurer's report and the statement. So if you have any comments, Mr. Margolis, I would entertain them at this time.
Careful what you ask for. For the benefit of our newest trustee, we don't necessarily outsource the accounting work, but in cooperation with the city, we provide them the raw data, and they manipulate and keep track of the general ledger and the financial reports, and then they're kind enough at the last minute to provide us monthly feedback in terms of how well we're doing. I believe our job as a board is one of oversight, so I try to take that fiduciary responsibility quite seriously. So I think we'd be doing the staff and administration a disservice if we didn't at least provide a cursory glance of the information, not necessarily challenge the integrity of it, but question when things don't seem right, and but always being mindful and respectful of the service that the city is providing. Okay, so I'm going to start out by saying thank you very much. But once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It irritates me to no end when we receive financial information that changes meeting to meeting. It's very difficult to track our progress when we think that we've got year-to-date information locked, and we find out that now when you bring in the presentation that they have, they've provided you a two-page schedule here, revenues and expenditures for the month, and also on a year-to-date basis, and we make conclusions of how we are tracking year-to-date against the budget, and lo and behold, the numbers change, and in my mind, change dramatically to the tune of $38,000 of additional expenses that were not disclosed. So all I can do is shine the light on the situation, and, they're doing the best they can, and hopefully we'll get some more consistency out of it. With respect to Fund 268, the library fund, the fund balance changed or declined in the month of December by $194,000. $156,000 is reflected in the revenue and expenditures for the month of December, and as I said, there must have been a retroactive prior period adjustment of $37,253 buried in the numbers. And there were 19 categories that were impacted. Our cash was depleted during the month. We happened to collect up front. All the tax revenues were credited as of July, and then you'll see a slow decline over the course of the year as we spend down. We get to the very end of the year, and if we've done a good job managing the budget, there will be little or no deficit requiring us to borrow from pre-existing surplus. But we have authorized that. If you look at the budget that was approved, we have the opportunity for the current year, it's colored in green, potential for, yes, page 12 and 13, for there to be a potential shortfall for the current fiscal year, of which we are now halfway through, of $480,000. For the month of December, there were $23,000 in revenue. The biggest piece of it, almost $15,000, came from investment earnings, which another change that was made within the last 2 years was recognizing the unrealized gains or losses of the market fluctuation. This represents actual instruments that matured, so these are hard earnings. So there was $14,612 in the month, and we also had $1,550 in gifts and donations in the month. Those are the two largest components. In terms of expenditures, we had in the category of personal services $145,000. That's about $14,000 less than a equal monthly allocation of the total budget of $1.9 million, or roughly 7.6%. In the category of total supplies, which are both consumable supplies, office supplies, computer-related, and operating supplies, plus the books, materials, periodicals, and electronic media, was $23,000, or roughly 4.1% of the budget, also the lowest monthly spend so far this year. In the category of total services and charges, again, $11,000, 2.5% of the budget, part of which is impacted by a credit to the TLN automation services of $6,300. So again, I don't know if that means we were overcharged back in October, or how the credit.
That's our E-rate that we receive. So that's actually given back to us based on.
So that's a once-a-year thing?
Yes.
Okay, so we won't see that going forward. But,
Correct.
okay.
Right.
Total expenditures for the month at just under $180,000, or roughly 6% of the budget. If you take 1/12 of the spend, you'd expect to spend $248,000, or 8.3%. So obviously we're below budget in that regard. But if you compare the 180,000 of expenditures against the 23,000 of revenue, we had a deficit in the month, 156,000. Again, one of the lower monthly deficits. And on a combined year-to-date basis, our revenue stands at $2,447,000 versus the budget of $2,493,000. So we're at about 98% of budget there. Our expenditures for the 6 months put us at $1,366,000, which is 46% of revenues and roughly $120,000 ahead of a 6-month spend. So we're trending good. When you compare the two, that leaves a residual equity balance for the 6 months of $1,081,000. In the Walker Fund, similarly, there was $12,272 of investment earnings. There was no gain or loss or market fluctuation recognized in the month. And there were only $832 of expenditure, so therefore the Walker Fund went up during the month of December, $11,440. Now, what puzzles me is the accounts payable in the Walker Fund went up $2,100, but I don't see what it was spent on. So I'm a little confused what we owe in terms of Walker Fund related expenditures.
That could be community read. Two things it could be, not, but the. So two options, community read and the invoice is still coming in from the November event, and still paying out. And then, for the author events, right. And then the others would be the author events that we've had in the fall. We usually pay those first and then receive back in terms of, books that we make available for people for purchase for author events.
So why wouldn't there be a corresponding commitment for that increase in the payables? That's what I'm having a hard time following. If you're recognizing the obligation, then there should be some offset equal to that amount, and it's not reflected cleanly.
You mean for a payout?
Yeah.
Yes, which invoices just have not been completed.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's a timing difference.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. All right. The big thing that we get is a separate document that was sent out, is the quarterly investment report. So on a monthly basis, we get balance sheets, we get revenue and expenditure reports, and then once a quarter, we get quarterly investments, which is where the money is. And there's a variety of reports that show it either in terms of the type of investment instrument it is, with the earnings. There's some that are graphical that shows you the distribution between the funds, which will all be moot when we merge the funds. But it's again, from a presentation standpoint, it's a little misleading when you look at the market value change from September 30th to 12/31. It looks like we lost $600,000 in investments, when in fact, no, that was just the normal spend of the library fund operating in the months of October, November, and December. The true unrealized gain or losses were down about $22,000 through December 31st, but we still have $4.8 million in terms of combined total funds.
And I did get a question from Treasurer Checkeye about that specifically for, some reasoning as to why there's such a loss, and I'm waiting to hear back on some information from the city. He did ask that today and sent it to Victor Cardenas.
Again, but it's more presentation that creates
Right.
more of a, because the market wasn't that bad in the quarter,
No.
okay? And that's my observations and comments, sir.
Thank you, trustee Margolis. I had kind of a follow-up question, I think to Julie, because I had noticed the negative number as well in the TLN, and you said that's the E-credits. Could you explain that? Probably not only for me, although I don't fully
Sure.
understand it, but I think the other trustees exactly how that works.
We receive a credit back through TLN, and it's an E-rate credit. It's related to being compliant with different computer opportunities that we have for the public, so SIPA, things like that we're doing with filtering and stuff, that we receive a credit then back from federal government for doing that.
Okay, so all libraries are eligible to get that credit? but you
Depending
have-
on the way they are defined as a library, yes. And
Okay.
if they want to comply, which we have, to providing filtering systems, and we provide them in the way that the federal government is looking for those compliances. So we have our staff, stations that are filtered. We have the public stations that we offer, a number of them that are filtered. In our youth area, we filter specifically. So there's some guidelines that they ask for us to follow, which we do, and then we receive that credit back.
Now, I mean, I understand a credit, but is there like cash actually flowing then from the federal government to TLN that then comes to us?
I believe it's through LSTA grant money. Yes, I do believe that, because then they send it on to us.
Okay, okay.
And we do receive an actual physical check.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So, but we get a check as
We do.
opposed to just a reduction in
Yes.
our
I asked for the check.
ongoing cost or fees or
We
whatever.
we could have it as a deduction, but I asked for the check so that it shows that we're actually receiving it annually. They give us options for how we want to
Okay,
receive it,
okay.
and I request it that way.
Okay, okay, well, that makes sense. That explains, at least to me, why
Yep.
it shows up the way it shows
Right.
up in the report.
I'd
I'd
like to show those checks and balances, for lack of a better word, but, to show that we're actually receiving it in, and it's not buried in an invoice somewhere, and then really there's no recognition for the fact that we're doing that E-rate and that we're complying, so that's why I do it.
It's real dollars, it shows up, it's real dollars. Thank you.
We've had this discussion before in terms of gross versus net, in terms of presentation. If you're gonna bury the credit as an offset against your expenditure, when we go to budget, you have to, by the way, remember the fact that
That
this
it's in
year
there.
is sandbagged by the fact that we got the credit, which we may or may not get next year.
True.
So another way to show it would be to show it as an additional revenue and leave your expenditure for TLN services so you can compare what you're actually spending versus what you budgeted at the beginning of the
Yes.
year. So you get to the same place.
Yeah, I
bottom
know,
line.
right. No, I agree with you, and then it would equal out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask kind of the same question. Is the 6379 the amount of the credit, or is that a netted number? And if so, do you know what the amount of the credit was?
I think it was 63, I think that's the exact
Okay.
amount. Yep.
Any other questions in regard to the financials? Thank you again, David,
Thank
for
you.
filling in at the last minute, appreciate that. Director's report, item number 10 on the agenda. Julie, you're up.
Okay, so let me get to that page very quickly. Looking at page 15, first, Happy New Year. It's now January, I can't believe it, we're already 6 months in, and it's cold. A couple things that,
Basking in the New Year's bowl.
yes, I am still basking in my win, thank you, MSU, yes. And probably will be for a while, I think I have a year, right? So two major events that took place in middle of January. One was the City of Novi goal-setting session on January 11th, which President Stirring and I attended. I'm happy to report that we received a lot of wonderful accolades for the library and what's going on programming-wise, collection-wise, events, just the way the things are running at the library, and that came from Mayor Gadd and the council, and that was during public speaking, and they shared, their thoughts, and it was much appreciated. It's great to be working with such an amazing team. And there was some discussion, I shouldn't say discussion, but there was information provided when the council did their goal-setting session that the teen space was brought up and an option for looking at a viable space or viable options for teen space. And I think the actual statement that someone provided as a goal to be considered was to look at it being removed from the library or looking at an alternative. Well, I don't see that, and I think we'll have some discussions about that as we move forward. But it's great to see that they're recognizing the teen space and that it is, I think, making an impact. Whether it fits the library environment or not, I think that's for us to decide and to continue to discuss. But it is getting recognition, and it was also recognized at the State of the City address as well by Mayor Gatt in his comments. So it is something very positive that we are providing to our teenagers. It came up as a goal, but it didn't reach the emergency level or the attention to move it up to the top 3 things that they'd be looking at. But I think it's good that they have our ears and that they're recognizing some of the work that we're doing at the library. It's great to be heard, and it's great to be seen. So I'll be following that. They did put out a teen survey, the city did, which I'll be able to provide to you during our budget session for more conversation, just in that vein. And we'll be able to go from there. But it was great to have some information from them, which I much appreciated. The State of the City, we also attended, a number of staff as well. It's a great opportunity, and thank you to Trustee Verma and Trustee Stirring, and yes, Trustee Messerneck. That was probably your first event, to come out and to be part of an event like that and for the city. So you had a chance to hear some great comments about the library and also to network with people who have been working with us. And it's great to hear that I think we're really making a difference and doing a great job in the community. Our Book It fundraiser, you see the product before you tonight. You are the first to have it in hand. It came in today. So we are launching our fundraiser beginning Friday. I need to talk with the staff a little bit and get them ready, but Friday we will begin selling our coupon booklet. And this is an opportunity for residents of our community and even non-residents who are looking for ways to take advantage of discounts in the Novi community in terms of restaurants and different businesses and the discounts that they're offering. So we're charging $30 for a coupon booklet, which has over $500 worth of savings in it. This is our fundraiser this year that will take place of the Book It event that we typically have at the library. Doesn't mean we're going away with it. We just wanted something new, something different to try in terms of a fundraising opportunity, and we will look to do some type of event to connect with our community probably in the fall of 2014. But I'm hoping that you will support us and work with us in order to be pushing the coupon book in the community and selling it. I think there's some great opportunities there for our community to take advantage of some great discounts. The staff, I will be working with them for them to help sell as well. And these coupon books will be sold at the library specifically. Some of the businesses that are in the coupon booklet have offered to sell at their businesses too, so that's great. That way it'll get out a little more into the community, and then we'll start our marketing campaign as of Friday. Any questions about that? Yes.
I'm assuming cash and checks, of course, you're going to receive, but
Cash, check, and credit.
well, credit at the library, though, right?
Correct, at the library,
Yeah.
yes. Everything will run through the library specifically. Although the businesses that are working with us, they will be able to provide that money back if they sell them at their business. And they'll be able to do cash, check, or credit as well.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions about that? Because I know that one's a big one. I do want to point out that we have a wonderful list of businesses that are taking part in just this first coupon book. The design was done by one of our interns working at the Art Institute of Michigan here locally in Novi. So I'm proud of him and his work. Brian Pruitt, a young man who's just graduating, and he gave us his talents to put the book together. This was done at no cost to the library. The businesses that provided a discount coupon actually sponsored to be in the coupon book, thus offsetting the costs of what it would be for printing. So basically anything that we bring in selling the coupon book is total fundraising dollars for the library. It will go towards our technology fund. That's what we've earmarked it for. If you look inside, we have that information inside the book. We thank our friends because they gave us some additional money to go towards the printing. So there's a little coupon part specific to them. All of the businesses are on the back of the coupon and are recognized there, as well as being in the coupon booklet for their discounts. So we're pretty excited about a first draft of this. I see this, I hope, if we do well with this, building more businesses into the book and hopefully growing this opportunity for fundraising for the library. I'm happy to report that the state aid report has been completed and turned in. So that's one thing off my list for the winter months, along with budgeting. And that's the next thing that I've been pretty much, it's a light agenda and obviously light information, because that's what I've been working on the most with the staff and with the city in order to get good numbers for our first budget session, which will be on Saturday, February 1st. Plan to be there the whole 4 hours. We have lots to talk about. I've been asked to join the Youth Assistance Board. I think this is a great opportunity to get us more involved, especially since we're gearing some of our energies towards our teens. And I will be attending their meetings on the first Tuesdays of the month to be a part of their committee and part of their work. I think there's a nice relationship there that we can be building. And we currently work with youth assistants to provide a monitor to our teen space once a week, and they've become a wonderful partner. So I'm going to be working with them a little bit. And I just want to point out some recognitions that we have just celebrated. We had a number of staff. Elizabeth Lang, she goes by Betty. She's one of our collection specialists, and she has just celebrated 25 years at the library. Margie Karp-Oper, Assistant Director of Public Service, just celebrated 20 years. Christine Pillars from our Support Services Department's 5 years. Jennifer Preston, she's one of our librarians, and she works specifically with our teens for the most part. Jennifer's done a fantastic job. She's been with us 5 years. And Sam Gilman is one of our library assistants and has been with us 5 years. So just wanted to recognize that they're all doing great work, and it's great to have such a wonderful team. And that's all I have. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Just a comment in connection with our budget meeting on Saturday, February 1. Is there any way, and I know there's a lot of materials and everything, is there any way that we as board members can get that in advance?
I am hoping to have, yes, in advance. However, I am still really working on numbers and stuff, and I'm waiting on the city.
I know. Some of the trustees
if
do a
you
lot
can
better with the
understand-
numbers than I do, but if I have those a day in advance, it helps me. I mean, some of our trustees can gobble those up right away on the spot. And I know you're waiting for other people, but if we can get them a day in advance or so,
I
it'd really
hope
be
I
helpful.
can. It will be very big, the document. But yes, I will try very hard to get you something by Friday afternoon.
Okay.
That would probably be the best I can do. Because I'm at the mercy right now
I understand.
of the finance department.
You are giving us and Saturday we are coming.
Correct.
Yes.
I can't,
Historically, we get them Saturday morning.
Right.
Historically, we get them Saturday. So I'm trying to push this up a little bit. Normally, we get them Saturday morning. So historically, but if we can get them in advance, and I understand it's not totally within your
No.
control, but
yeah.
for those of us who it helps me.
I'm worried that I'm gonna get to the middle of this week, I'll be very honest with you, and not have a lot ready. So I'm going to work very hard this weekend and this week, but, yeah. Yeah. Trustee,
Chairman?
Yes, I'm sorry, Trustee Margolis.
Yeah, well, with respect to this, we, as a practice for the last couple of years, have done 2-year projections. So we kind of have a framework to begin with what next year's budget
We do.
might look like. All we need to do is tweak for changes in constraints or changes in estimations.
yes.
So I don't, unless you're aware of significant,
I have some building
Areas that-
things and stuff, yes, that I'll be bringing, but, yeah.
will it impact next year's budget, or will you think it'll impact the second year look forward that we're also going to try and tackle?
Both.
Okay, if there's going to be something significant change from what we've already adopted and approved, then yes, advance notice would be helpful.
Okay.
Likewise, I believe March 1st is a big fundraiser for Novi Youth Assistance. I'll have to double check the date, but I thought somebody told me March 1st for their
Okay.
big bowling fundraiser that they have every year, something that I hope to participate in this year. I think that starts at noon, so if we
Does it?
could,
Oh, good, okay.
hopefully we get done.
Usually our
Yeah,
first meeting
early.
is longer than the second, typically.
Right, so I don't think it'll be a problem, though.
Okay. Anything else on the reports?
I can go into, there is a report from Margie Carpoper from our public service, and that just talks about some of the programs that went on in December and some of the highlighted events that we had. Lots of great things that went on in December. That's typically our slow time, but to be quite honest, we really don't have a slow time anymore at the library. So even in December with holidays and stuff, we still provide a lot of opportunities and programming. On page 20 is Mary Ellen Mulcrone's building operations report. She talks about the text messaging. She talks about the closure that we did have due to the weather, the snow that we had, plus also you all received information about the sprinkler head that we had that busted in our
Can we
main.
take just a brief moment and share with the public the response? I mean, this is a big deal.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
And we had crisis management in action, and yes, we're acknowledging it. but
Right.
I'd like to crow
Well,
a little bit more.
kudos really to Barb Rakowski, who's the head of our IT and facilities. We received a call at midnight, and it was the management team that gets called at midnight. Barb is the closest, and Barb could respond the fastest, and it was within, 15 to 20 minutes that she was able to get to the building. And it was due to a sprinkler head that had busted due to the cold temperatures. So we received that call. We got the alarm, obviously, through our alarm system, which then goes to the fire department and the police department, and we all got called on that to let us know that there was a problem, and there was definitely a leak at the building. For us, probably the best place to have a leak would be in our vestibule. So it did not impact any collections, furniture, carpeting, anything like that in the building. It was not internal, but it was in our vestibule area. Barb responded very quickly, and so did our fire and police department. They were fantastic coming on board. They were there within minutes to shut off the water so that we didn't have what could have been potentially a huge disaster with water, absolutely. And I do think that's because of what's been put in place. You know, we have a lockbox, they can get to keys very quickly, they're not busting down doors and windows, they know the procedures, they've been in our building, they know where things are located, our water shut off and everything, they're familiar with our building, the emergency response team. So it was very good by both by the city and by Barb. So Barb responded, was able to get to the building. We called an emergency company who arrived about 4:30 in order to fix the sprinkler head and get things really back up and running for us and getting the water turned back on. We had to shut down the water at that time, and that was for the suppression system. And we can't open a building if we don't have that suppression system in place. So we were concerned about the library being closed, but because of the company responding, and they were doing a lot of responding due to a lot of breaks in the area and because of the weather, that was fixed. Barb was able to clean up the mess. Very, very minimal damage. In fact, we were able to troubleshoot a counter it's a counter that counts our security system and counts our door count. That was affected by the water damage, but we were able to troubleshoot by phone and actually get that back up and running within a couple days. That had no damage whatsoever. We were able to dry out our after-hour lockers, which there was water damage at that time. We were also able to bring in ServPro, which is the company we worked with to have an emergency response and any issues. We called them right away. They sent out someone to detect in the walls and in the ceiling if there was water damage and how much. And I'm happy to report to you that there was a very small area, the size of a soup can is how they described it, of where the water was, and they felt very confident it would dry out on its own. It was also near a light fixture that would help with that drying process, and we didn't have to bring in any blowers or any other equipment in order to dry out the vestibule. So it was a great situation really for us, and it was handled very well by the team.
It looks very clean, everything is fine. And now, near the sprinkler heads, did you paint that area?
We had done some painting earlier.
it looks
Yeah,
good.
It wasn't because of that. We had painted for other reasons, but that corner wasn't from that.
Oh.
Yeah. It actually probably needs a whole new coat of paint and to cover up and clean up, to be quite
It
honest.
looks very neat. and
Thank
clean.
you. Yeah. They did, well, even the guy who came out and did the work in the middle of the night did a great job keeping the area clean and doing the work without much damage.
Since we have a week of about the same kind of weather as you had on that night, is there anything that can be done that would be preventative to help keep that from reoccurring?
I don't know offhand. I mean, the system is new enough that I'm surprised that we actually had the issue, but in that area with the temperatures falling like they did, it just, yeah. We noticed that it was the sprinkler head, there was a gap, and when that happens, and then it freezes, and then it releases, that's how it occurred. So it was the sprinkler head itself. Yeah. But it turned out well. I was glad to see some of our trustees stop in to check on things, and I think by the time you got there, actually, President Stirring, we were
By
We were
8:30,
good.
9 o'clock in the morning, when I had a
Yes.
comfortable night of sleep, on my way into work, I just stopped in, and it
Yeah.
looked very clean and operational.
Yeah, and-
All taken care of through the middle of the night.
through the middle of the
but-
night, no compromise to our patrons and not having to close the building at all, which was great.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
since we are talking about the building operation, one of the citizen called me today, and he says, he was there at near the circulation desk, and it's freezing, it's cold. And then he went to Julie, talked to him, and talked to Julie also, and then he called me. He says, you have to do something. And on Monday, I was as a greeter there. It is cold, and the heater was on, but I still feel, because these two doors are not working for us. And I was talking to Marion about a few months ago. I said, maybe during the winter time we should have a temporary, some sort of a temporary partition. So not in front of the circulation desk, but between the doors and that circulation. So then the wind is not going directly to the circulation people there. So I think we should look into that sort of thing, temporarily.
I certainly think that if there is a solution to cut down the wind or the cold, I'm all in favor of that. I will comment that it is not only the library, that there is cold air coming through this winter, and I think if you go to any establishment that has doors that open to the public, whether it be at the airport, for example, I see people at Home Depot, they're cashiers, they're dressed in coats. So I'm in favor of anything that will improve that. On the other hand, I don't think the situation is that unique in this area with these extreme colds, because it's not only people in the library at that area that are experiencing that cold. It is almost any type of establishment that is open to the public, that has doors opening in extreme cold weather.
Well, and you are correct. We were talking about it today, when the patron, one of our residents did come in, and, Margie had actually joined into the conversation. She said, she was just at Costco, and she walked in, and actually their service desks are even farther back than where ours are. I mean, we are pretty close to the doors for reasons that we want to interact quickly with our patrons, but their service desks were even farther back, and they were just as cold, and the drafts. I just think we have a great problem where we're being used and people are constantly coming into the building, and the door is hardly ever closed because of the traffic. There was a suggestion of, could we change out the doors and make the doors differently and open differently, but the city has a whole different door system where they open in and out, and I can tell you that when you walk in here, there's a certain amount of time that the door stays open and a certain amount of time that wind comes in. I agree with you, Trustee Stirring, that I think we're just dealing with some very, very cold temperatures that we're not used to. Last winter, we didn't have the complaints or concerns because we had a mild winter, and we're just dealing with a colder winter. I've had a request, and I'll be bringing it to you, where we can look into some jackets, for the staff to wear that are a little more, that are warmer for them to be out in that area because it is, I mean, they're in some colder temperatures than other staff are in other parts of the building. And I don't see anything wrong with doing that for the fact that we'd be providing it and keeping them warm and they would be doing their job. But I don't know, you know, we've had the engineers and we've changed and we are at maximum with the heating. We looked at all of that. We know that we're getting good heating from the building, but when you constantly have those doors open, that heat is also going right out the door at the same time.
Can I ask, can we
Absolutely.
put on the discussion agenda for the budget meeting?
Sure.
Maybe an architectural change that would require a capital expenditure?
So we should not talk today, we should talk.
No,
I don't think that we're prepared to talk
point I'm
today.
saying
Like,
is-
we're recognizing the problem,
Yeah,
but
the point I'm saying is, it's a problem there. We tried with those two doors and closing and opening of that. But I'm giving an example of University of Michigan Medical Center. When I was there, we had a temporary partition. And it's not like you have a tarpaulin in front of that. It's a see-through type of thing, only to break the wind there. So that can be done there. And I think if we look into our directory and call that some contractor, I will be happy to help you with that day. So temporarily, during this season or next season, winter time, we can put it there. There's no nails going, nothing going.
Right.
It goes there,
Right.
and then we can take it down.
Right.
Instead of giving, you know, like in circulation tax, every half an hour you have a different person. Every half an hour, you will be bringing with the jacket, they're a different person. How about the people, those who are standing, coming, customers? They don't have a jacket, the kids are standing there. So I feel that our building people should look into that. And on February 1st, we can talk more on that. How much it will cost and all those things. Thank you.
Moving on, starting on page 21 would be some of the statistics that you are receiving. Cards issued in December, 263. Items checked out, 56,774. That's down from other months, but like I said, that's typically our slower month of the year, December is. If we look at hours currently, actually, we'll look at self-checkout. So we're standing at about 59% usage of our self-checkout machines, and that's 6 months in. And then if we look at our library usage and patrons, we're seeing over 189,000 that have come in through the building thus far for the past 6 months. And then on page 23, we have information pertaining to our computer logins and lending laptops and wireless usage.
can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
And this is not meant as a slight to anybody. You or your staff compile these statistics?
My
Yes?
staff,
Your
yes.
staff. Can I ask, before they get published, that they get proofed?
Is there a mistake?
Yeah, on page 23, the daily average, $14.99. Yeah, not so much. It should be $12.43.
I'm sorry, where are you at?
The
Just-
bottom right-hand corner, your
Oh.
daily average,
Yes,
you're not averaging 1,500. You're averaging 12.43.
okay. Thank you.
In no month did you go over 13.36. So how could your average be 14.99?
We've got an Excel problem.
Well,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I will let the staff person know. Thank you.
Now I see it.
Thank you very much. On page 24, these are our early literacy workstation usage, so that is doing very well with half year. If you look at last year, total was 10,000, we're at our half year and we're at 5,200, so we're doing well there. Page 25 is all the different types of technology sessions that we are offering currently to the building and to patrons. Page 26, these are Friegel, Overdrive, and Zinio. So this is our music downloads, our ebook downloads, and our magazine downloads and how we're doing. I'm really excited to point out the Zinio, which is our magazine downloads, and how that's been growing each month. So that is definitely getting more attention, and people are utilizing that. So that's good news that the new service is taking off. Page 27, our charging stations, we didn't have any usage for December for the charging stations. And then meeting room rental, we had 447 attendees for 21 rentals in December. It was, if you think about the days we were closed and stuff, that was almost every day that we had a rental that it averages out to. So I think the meeting rentals have been going wonderfully. And that really is a huge kudos to Marcia Dominic and Diana Gertzen, who handles that through the administration office. So it's become a whole new job and task to be working with, and they're doing a great job doing that. Marcia mentioned that just today alone, we collected almost $1,000 from a group that's doing meeting room rentals, so it's going over very well.
Great.
So, just to let you know, there's, on page 28, is some information pertaining to our library app and how we're doing. And those numbers are staying pretty high as well. So I'm happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
Any questions in regard to the program report? Okay.
Do you allow these magazines to be given to the customer when they come?
This is electronic magazines.
No, other magazines which have paper magazines.
Yes, you
which
can check them out.
They can take home?
Yes.
How about the newspaper?
Newspapers, no, because they don't tend to come back, and if they do come back, they don't come back intact. There's too much to them for the most part. So we don't do magazines, and we actually, for magazines, we keep the current month in the building. It's any behind, it's, past months that can be checked out, but we do allow checkout for them.
Not the paper.
Not the newspapers, yeah. They tend not to, and sometimes they even go missing even when they come into the building and they're only for in-house use. Sometimes people think it's their personal copy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No further questions. We're going to move on to item 12, Friends of the Novi Library Report.
I did include their draft from their January meeting. These have not been approved, just so you know. They won't have a February meeting. They've decided to cancel. A number of them go away and escape the cold, lucky for them. So they won't have a February meeting. But I think the biggest thing to point out was that I did attend the meeting, and I shared with them what was going on with some of our fundraising opportunities for the new year. And they will be taking part in selling the coupon book as well. I'll be reaching out to them this week for the board members especially, to come in and pick up their coupon books, and they are willing and very much on board to be selling and trying to sell 5 for each member. Then I let them know, and this actually was information that was provided at the fundraising committee meeting that we had. Plus, I had brought this to you at the November meeting. I think it was the November meeting. Just some of the fundraising that we've been doing, where we stand with some of the fundraising and the money that has come in. We have a scrapbooking event coming up in February. We're still talking about the Tiger baseball and concessions and volunteering with that. I'm getting a pretty good response. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm hoping by the end of the week, I have to turn in information by next week, so I'm hoping that I reach my numbers. But we've had a really good response, and we did send out a call to the Friends group, the actual listserv. So it's great to have those Friends members involved, and we did get some volunteers from that group as well. So we're doing pretty well with that. I haven't committed to it yet because I don't have full numbers, but I'm
How
hoping.
about Lions football?
I'm sorry, Lions football? I didn't reach out to Lions football. I actually thought of baseball because there's more games and more opportunities for flexibility, and it's in better weather for people to travel. And they're winning, yes, okay. They're not like the MSU Spartans this year, I'm sorry. And that's all I have for Friends.
Do you have anything to report on the attendees at the Martin Luther King Day events.
I do. We had a great turnout, actually. We had over 100 in attendance for the kids' programs that were during the day. We had a story time and we had a drop-in craft and activities center for the kids. Mother Goose made an appearance, our new costume and our new friend. And then we had an author event in the evening. I think the weather might have played a little bit into that, but we had over 35 in attendance for the author event in the evening for the book, The Colored Car, and for the author to present her new book. So for us, those numbers have grown since last year. This is now our second year being open on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I do think that we are establishing a really good opportunity for our community to take part, knowing that the schools are not in session. A number of people have off work. We saw a lot of families come, moms and dads and children come together to the events that we had on Monday. It was great.
The evening event, I was there, it was being filmed.
Yes, our SWAC team from the city,
So that was being projected to the community that day?
it doesn't go live, but it will be available in order for people to see snippets of it and share, so that hopefully it draws attention to people wanting to have interest in the book and possibly reading it. But yes, and we did an interview actually with the author as well. Margie conducted an interview that SWAC taped, so we can play that and hopefully, drum up some readers with the new book that we're
Do we
suggesting.
pay to the people, those who come to film this?
They work with us, and it's through the city's contract that they make themselves available to us.
Whenever we need it? Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
and we keep them involved with what's going on, and when they see something that might be of interest for the full community, they'll come out and they'll do taping.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Moving on to item number 12 on our agenda, we do have a written student representatives report in page 31 of our packet today. I don't know if anybody has anything to add to that or question.
I think the one thing to highlight is still the teen space. It continues to thrive, as they write in their report. A total of 536 students over 15 sessions have come into the library, and this averages around 35 teens per session. And they mentioned the Madden video game tournament and the Xbox with 15 students that participated in it. So they're reporting those numbers.
Great. Moving on to item 13 on our agenda, Historical Commission report. In the draft minutes in our booklet on page 32.
Nothing major to report at this time. They're still working on some projects. They're also working on an oral history project as well, keeping their budget pretty well intact, and working to provide some new programming, and they're working with Betty Lang to do that, our liaison.
Okay. Item number 14 on our agenda, committee reports.
No committees at this time have met.
Okay. Item number 15, public comment. This is the second opportunity in the meeting for any public comments. If there are any public comments, I ask you to approach the podium right now. I don't see anybody rushing or slowly moving towards the podium. So we'll close this public comment period. And moving on to item 16 in our agenda, which is matters for board action, which I do not believe there are any matters
We
for
do
board
not.
action either tonight. That leaves us to item number 17, which is our adjournment motion. Unless anybody has anything else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, unanimous that we adjourn our meeting.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all.
gentlemen.
Thank you.